In this video, let us see about leukoplakia, a common white lesion which you will learn in your oral pathology and oral medicine, also in oral surgery. So this video will be to the point. If you have any doubts, make sure you ask in the comment section. So let me begin. Definition of leukoplakia. So before that, I should tell that any question when asked, I have already repeated in many other videos, make sure that you write the answer in certain subheadings so that you will not leave out any point. So the subheadings, I have covered all the subheadings in this video. Let us see one by one. Starting with definition of oral leukoplakia, there is World Health Organization definition, but the latest consensus shows that Van der Waals definition, which was proposed in 2012, goes as follows: a predominantly white lesion or plaque of questionable behavior, having excluded clinically and histopathologically any other definable white disease. So basically, what does this mean? Any white lesion which you cannot classify as a particular disease. If it is not candidiasis, if it is not squamous cell carcinoma, histology shows no particular disease, then it will be leukoplakia. Histology predominantly shows dysplasia in leukoplakia. So a predominantly white lesion of questionable behavior having excluded clinically and histopathologically any other definable white disease. So if it is nothing else, then it will be leukoplakia. So introduction to leukoplakia. It is the most frequent potentially malignant disorder. When I was a BDS student, I was taught pre-malignant lesion. Now the term is classified as potentially malignant disorder, PMD, of oral mucosa. It is considered an intermediate stage between normal tissue and malignancy. The term potentially malignant disorder is currently preferred over pre-malignant lesion as it indicates that not all cases will be turned to malignancy. When you call it as a pre-malignant lesion, it means it will definitely transfer to a malignant lesion, but it is not so. Only few cases show malignant conversion, so which means it is a potentially malignant disease or disorder. Now, who are the most affected population? Especially male population of over 40 years of age, especially with smoking habit, and prevalence increases with age. Globally, 2.6% of population have leukoplakia, whereas in India, this is the percentage, 0.2% to 5.2% have a leukoplakia. And malignant transformation is seen in approximately 1% of the cases who present with leukoplakia. Etiology, a very important subheading. So tobacco is the most significant risk factor, including smoked and smokeless forms. Aricanet is a synergistic factor. When used along with tobacco, it shows increased risk. Alcohol also acts as an independent and synergistic factor when combined with tobacco. Microorganisms include chronic candidiasis, HPV, EBV shows some amount of influence in leukoplakia. Chronic irritation, example, a sharp tooth or restoration which is very sharp and causing chronic irritation, or micronutrient deficiencies, ultraviolet exposure. All the other factors contribute to leukoplakia, but the most common cause which can be associated with leukoplakia is smoking or smokeless form of tobacco. Then pathogenesis. Tobacco is a very well known carcinogen. When such a carcinogen is exposed, your oral cavity cells, that is the tissue cells which are exposed to carcinogen, try to adapt. Okay, they attempt to adapt. How they try to adapt? They are facing a crisis. So they try increased proliferation, which is hyperplasia, and after which it fails, so they go for atrophy. So initially they try for hyperplasia. In hyperplasia, they have very high the rate of cell division is very large in dysplasia and carcinoma. So what they do is, in the hastened phase, in that quick need to regenerate, the genetic damage is inevitable. The progenitor compartment facilitates genetic damage. pushing cells towards irrevocable damage, apoptosis, and malignant transformation. So when cell division or mitosis happens so quickly, genetic damage follows. The cell division is not at all proper, and there is no time for the cells to mature, which is of course dysplasia, which can later proceed to malignancy. So this is the simple flow chart. When a tissue is exposed to carcinogen, the cell tries to adapt. By adaptation, it means first they will go for hyperplasia, later atrophy. In this hyperplasia state, the fast pace of cell division leads to genetic damage, which also leads to apoptosis and less matured cells. So the white patch or plaque that cannot be scraped off the clinical feature, which is common with the leukoplakia, if it is scraped off, it is usually candidiasis. It is usually asymptomatic and often discovered during routine dental exams. High risk sites include buccal mucosa, tongue, especially the lateral borders and ventral borders of tongue, floor of the mouth, soft palate are the most common sites. Size varies. If it is greater than 2 cm, then it has a greater risk for malignant transformation. So classification of leukoplakia, it can be either homogeneous or non-homogeneous. As the name suggests, homogeneous leukoplakia means it is uniformly white, flat, thin, usually asymptomatic, and has a lower risk of malignancy. In non-homogeneous, there is higher risk of malignancy. The subtypes include speckled, nodular, and verrucous. Speckled means there are mixed red and white patches, so which means erythroleukoplakia. And small polypoid growths, nodular in leukoplakia, and rounded white excrescence are seen. In verrucous, there is elevated proliferative and corrugated surfaces. Proliferative verrucous leukoplakia (PVL) is a rare, aggressive, multifocal variant which has a very high rate of malignant transformation. So this subtype has shown a higher rate of malignant transformation up to 74%. So hope you are clear with etiology, pathogenesis, and classification. Clinical features also we saw. Now let us go to the histopathological features, which is most important if you are concerned with your oral pathology exam. Dysplasia, I have already uploaded a video. So the features of dysplasia are seen in leukoplakia. So let me show this diagram first. Keratosis is messed up here. Then acanthosis, that is the thickening of cells. The thickness of the cells in epidermis or dermis is worsened here. Then when you see the basal cells, there will be increased nuclear cytoplasmic ratio, and the nucleus will be more, that is hyperchromatic nuclei. Okay, because of the rapid cell division, there is no time for maturation. They are actively proliferating. So these are the common features of dysplasia, and basal cells will be losing their polarity. So these are the common features of dysplasia. Remember, and depending on the type, the number of the rate of dysplastic cells, that is whether they are fewer in number or more in number, you can classify the dysplasia. You can classify leukoplakia as mild, moderate, or severe. You can grade it. So let us see the features now. Hyperkeratosis, ortho or para hyperkeratosis, acanthosis, and basement membrane thickening. As I said, the keratosis is messed up. Hyperkeratosis, acanthosis, that is the thickening of the spinosal layers, and basal membrane is thinned here. Now dysplasia is the gold standard feature what you see in leukoplakia. There is architectural features and cytological features, asymmetrical stratification, drop shaped retipegs. So this is your retipeg. You could follow, I see. So this is your drop shaped retipegs. Retipegs are drop shaped. And increased or abnormal mitosis, loss of basal cell polarity since there is constant cell division. In cytological features, you will see increased nuclear cytoplasmic ratio, hyperchromatic nuclei, which means the nucleus is more blue in color in your slides because of the constant cell division. Nuclear pleomorphism, they show different shapes and sizes. They are abnormal and prominent nucleoli, again because of the constant division and no time to mature. So the grading will be either mild, moderate, or severe based on the dysplasia. So hope you understand the histopathological features. Now, finally, how you will investigate it. So, biopsy is the gold standard. Incisional biopsy for large lesions, excisional for small ones. Vital staining helps you to, for if you're going for incisional biopsy, vital staining will let you know which place is more like dysplastic. The place which takes vital staining will be more dysplastic. So, toluidine blue will help you in selecting the biopsy site. And cytology, that is oral brush biopsy for mass screening. You cannot do biopsy for each and every patient, so you'll go for oral brush biopsy. And light based systems, chemiluminescence have been used. And biomarkers, though they are research oriented, they are not used in routine investigations. Management can be again medical or surgical. So if your exam is oral medicine or oral surgery, concentrate on the management part. So oral pathology, you should concentrate in your histopathology part. For medical management, know that risk factor cessation, because without stopping tobacco or alcohol, there is no use of going for treatment of leukoplakia. Mandatory tobacco and alcohol cessation, removal of chronic irritants, if it is a sharp tooth or any other factor. Then chemo prevention, topical or systemical use of vitamin A, retinoids, all like these are all known as they counteract free radicals. They are antioxidants, so they are used here. Beta carotene, lycopene, and bleomycin. The bleomycin shows a limited efficacy. So other mode of watching is to review later, wait and watch. Close clinical and histological surveillance for low risk lesions. But anyway, you have to stop smoking. Without stopping the causative factor, if it is tobacco, there is no use in treating the lesion. Surgical management for moderate and severe dysplasia or high risk clinical sites. If you are doubtful that it may develop into malignancy, it is better to go for surgical excision. Modalities include conventional surgical excision, laser surgery, electrocauterization, and cryosurgery. So conventional means with your scalpel, you have laser, you have electrocautery and cryosurgery. So the goal is to remove the total lesion to prevent the malignant transformation. And the prognosis, 1 to 9% of the patients develop invasive cancer, and recurrence, even if it is a malignant, even after complete surgical excision, there are cases which show recurrence, particularly if the risk factor is not avoided. And when once dysplastic changes are seen in your histopathology, the prognosis is guarded, that is you cannot be sure of what it will be. So you have to follow up for a long time to make sure it does not transform into malignancy. And what is the differential diagnosis of oral leukoplakia? So other white lesions of your oral cavity, candidiasis, lichen planus, leukoedema, white spongy nevus, whether it is a chemical burn or oral hairy leukoplakia, all resemble leukoplakia in some or the other time. So what is the difference between these and others? We will learn in the upcoming videos on candidiasis and lichen planus and other topics. So stay subscribed and watch other videos which will be uploading soon. So if you have any doubt in this topic, please make sure to ask in the comment section. Make sure that you write the answer in the subheading form, whether it is an 5 mark or an essay. If you know the subheadings, then it will be easier to remember and easier to reproduce in your exam. So this is the method to score good marks. See you soon in the next video. Thank you.